Okay, well, welcome everybody to our outdoor adventure for youth with visual impairments or deaf blindness with Dr. Lauren Lieberman. We're so happy to have you here with us, Lauren, and happy to have everybody else here to hear all this awesome information that you always give us. So without further ado, I will let you get started.
Thanks, Elia. And I
Uh-huh.
just wanted to also thank Elia for putting this whole series together. I know it's it's been a lot of work and there's a lot of us on this, but
It's worth
hopefully
it.
people are getting some really good information from this. And so I love outdoor adventure myself. I just really love to be part of outdoor adventure activities. And I know that it really, really helps our kids with visual impairments and kids who are deaf blind be part of the world and be part of their friends and talk about something that's exciting, challenge themselves, and it's a lifetime activity. And so this is Outdoor Adventure for Youth with Visual Impairments or Deaf Blindness. We've been doing outdoor adventure at Camp Abilities for the last 27 years. And I actually have been doing a lot more outdoor adventure lately. We've been doing a lot more research on outdoor adventure, what works, what doesn't work. And I'm really excited tonight. I'm going to be sharing an entire series of videos that we made showing you how to teach outdoor adventure to kids with visual impairments. And I know that some of you that are here might also have involvement in outdoor adventure and kids with visual impairment or deaf blindness. Please just jump in and write in the chat if you have something that you want to share. Oh, I also, Alaya, is there an opening code?
Yes, there is, and I will put it in the chat.
Okay, so
Mhm.
Alaya's going to put it in the chat. And I'm just going to ask you, Alaya, if you can monitor the chat because it's just me tonight,
Absolutely.
that'll help me see if anybody has any questions or anything you want to share.
You got it.
That'd be great.
Okay.
And so I'll just tell you a little bit about me. I am a distinguished service professor at SUNY Brockport, which is in Brockport, New York. I teach in the kinesiology department. I teach adapted physical education. I'm the co-director of the Institute of Movement Studies for individuals with visual impairments or deaf blindness. And I'm the founder and director of Camp Abilities in Brockport. Like I said, this is our 27th year of my camp. And this picture is just of me. It was in North Carolina. We did this hike, and I was like literally in the middle of this cascading, amazing, braiding waterfall. It just is amazing, and it was just really fun. That's what I love. And I think that that's what a lot of us love to do, and want to make sure we share that with our kids. And I just want to give everybody a chance. If you can just write in the chat maybe your name, what's your area? Are you a TBI? You're an O&M, a rehab specialist, and where are you from? So maybe put that in the chat if people wouldn't mind sharing that, just to get a little idea of who you are. Say we got Christina from Maryland, O&M, Lelia, a certified O&M instructor from Rhode Island, Tiffany from Phoenix, Rhonda, O&M from New Hampshire, Misty, O&M from North Carolina, all right. From Malaysia, Diana from Malaysia, TVI. Welcome, Diana. APE, Ontario, California. Let's see, Duck. Upper Peninsula, Michigan, comms, good. Oregon, TVI. Amanda, welcome, Amanda. Lindsay's from Vermont. Sherry's a TVI from West Virginia. Autumn, TVI from South Central PA. Welcome, Autumn. Anne from Lancaster, California. Awesome. Julie from Colorado. Dean from South Carolina. Welcome, Dean. All right, who else is here? Anybody else? We got a lot of TVIs and combs. And Kim Conlon from Anchorage. Welcome, Kim. Marianne. And Stephanie from Canada, CVRT. Kathy from Cleveland. Karen, she's a TVI, certified TVI from Oklahoma. Karen, TVI from Greece, New York. All right, hi, Jen. Carlo from Montreal, wonderful. Natalie from Comms and CVRT from Phoenix, welcome. Anybody else that we missed?
I
Great.
think you got them all pretty
I think
much.
I've got
Yeah.
them all. Wow, great. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, everyone. It sounds like we got a lot of different experiences and different people here. So now I don't know how to get out of. Oh, here we go. So welcome. So we got a lot of great people. Again, please jump in, and Elia will let us know what you're saying in the chat. So So the main purpose of adapted adventure activities, there's so many. One is that all these activities, I mean, we were working on cornhole today. Imagine cornhole. How many components of the ECC does cornhole meet? And this is a picture of rock climbing, and you think about all the different components of the ECC that rock climbing meets. And these are three kids almost at the top of the rock wall, and our kids absolutely love the rock climbing, and we're doing that again this summer. But one of the big things also is self-determination, knowing what modifications you need, knowing how to do all the self-help skills related, independent living skills, promoting independence, knowing what it takes to be independent, and of course socialization. Not only are you social during the activity, but it also gives you something else to talk about. Where you went, who you were with, what you experiences, if you met your goals, and when your next adventure is going to be. And I know my wife and I did the 46 peaks in New York, the 46th highest peaks in New York State, and it's called a 46er. I could talk about that all day, especially as other people who like to hike and have been on some of those mountains. It's just an awesome way to promote socialization, both here and now and in the future. But also, more importantly, it gives the kids choices, not only of activities that they know that they like, but also about variations and modifications that they know that they need. And so one of the things we teach the kids are, here's how people typically rock climb or kayak or ride a tandem bike. And then here's some modifications that you can ask for. Now let's practice that. And self-advocacy, if anybody came to our self-advocacy workshop, that was we did these past few presentations. If you missed it, you still have a chance to see our self-advocacy presentation at AER. We're going to be doing another presentation on self-advocacy and all the resources that we have for people related to self-advocacy. But there's a lot of purposes of outdoor adventure. Can anybody put in the chat, what are some other reasons why you do outdoor adventure with some of your students? Anybody want to put that in the chat?
We've had a parent join us as well, Lauren.
That's not the opening code. There's really a parent here.
Yeah, there is.
Opening code is including.
Including, yes.
Right, O&M skills. Good, Haley. Right, practicing O&M skills. Yes, it's healthy to be outside, especially now, right? Gaining confidence. Sunshine improves your mood. I totally agree that. Even just the air, fresh air. Inclusion, one, I totally agree with you. Safety. Yeah, so people seeing that kids with visual impairments can do things safely. Exactly, I totally agree. Fun. Take advantage of the natural environment, your location. We're right here on the Erie Canal, so it makes sense for us to do all the water activities that we do. Stand-up paddleboard, kayaking. Yeah, I totally agree, Dean. It improves the kids' confidence. And the more they do it, the more confident they get. Yes, I love that, Namisha, creating memories, not only with your family, but with friends, kids from school. It bonds you together, especially if it's some kind of team building activity. Yeah, Lindsay, again, right, bonding. Awesome. Great reasons why we do outdoor adventure activities. Awesome. Thanks everybody for sharing. One of the other things I wanted to say too is that when we get our kids out into the community and able-bodied or sighted people see kids doing hiking, kayaking, rock climbing, it changes their perception. So not only are we helping give the kids confidence, but we're also changing perceptions of people in the community. I'll never forget, at my Camp Abilities in Texas, we hiked up this mountain. Yeah, there was a mountain in Texas where we were. And we were way up close to the top of the mountain, and it was hot and it was far. And people were looking at our kids and saying, "How did you get here?" And the kids proudly said, "We hiked here." And people's jaws dropped because it wasn't an easy hike, and it was really hot and it was really far. And that's what I love. I love it when we're out on a tandem bike with someone and they say, "You rode that here?" You know, so those are the kind of things that really help change people's perceptions of what our kids can do and in society. And the other thing I love is that a lot of kids do have dreams and visions about what they want to do in outdoor adventure. And so we had at our last camp, we just did, in our winter camp, we did ice skating. And this little girl, Cora, who is deafblind, hadn't skated before, and she was kind of struggling. We had like a walker, a skating walker. She went from the walker to holding both of her coach's hands, to letting go of their hands and just gliding and gliding. And in an hour, the confidence that she built and the balance that she got. So then she said this, and I hope that you can hear this.
I'm so thankful that I was able to move up and now.
And you skated really fast, didn't you? You skated really fast. You're awesome, Cora.
I'm gonna take your shoe up.
So Cora said, I thought I was in a dream, but it was real life. And to me, making kids' dreams come true is what we're all about. We want them to be able to set goals and meet those goals. And I'll tell you, Cora is still skating to this day. Well, this was only a few months ago. And so I also want to share that I'm working with the Institute. I'm the co-director of the Institute of Movement Studies for individuals with visual impairments. If you want to know more about our programs, when you want to see a bit, like the top video is about our program, you can just click on this link here, and this link, the second link, is our link to the video about our institute. And this is our logo is just an eyeball with a girl batting a ball, a baby crawling, and a man running. And then we have our Brockport logo on here as well. And so I wanted this presentation to be kind of at the beginning of the summer, so we can share about how do we get our kids involved in physical activity and outdoor adventure. So we want you to know, like, individuals with visual impairments have the potential for motor skills and physical activity levels to match those of their sighted peers if they're given the opportunity. If anybody was at the session on, I think it was last week, that Dr. Perot and Dr. Beach did about motor skills, and they're going to be doing one next week as well, you'll know that it's opportunities that are the problem. It's not kids' visual impairment. So what you have to do is just decide on what you want to do as a family, or if you're going to go to a camp, if the child's going to go to a camp. What do they want to do, and what are the skills needed for those activities? Do they need balance? Do they need to be able to hold on to kayak paddles? Do they need to be able to hold on to rocks for a rock wall? What are some of the skills that they'll need to be successful in that activity? And then ask your child what they want to do for their summer recreation. Do they want to do something in the water? Do they want to do something as a group? Do they want to do something in the woods? What are some of the things that make them feel joy? And determine the skills that they need to accomplish those activities. And then look into some summer sports programs, camps and park programs, and community offerings. What does your community offer? And I just want to emphasize, you don't have to just look for programs for kids with visual impairment or deaf blindness, because I'll tell you, they're few and far between. What we have to do is sign our kids up for these programs and then train the staff. And if anybody needs training materials, I'm going to show you where to get some of those training materials. But it would be very, very limiting if we only signed our kids up for programs for kids with visual impairment or additional disabilities. So look for those programs that match what their interests are, okay? And then these are just some general guidelines. This is kind of what we follow, and this is the kind of things you can just tell some of the staff, teach the staff, and teach the people that are running the activities. And this picture is one of our athletes learning how to, when you're fishing, so she's casting, she's learning how to take the rod back, release the fishing line, and then cast her line out. And so the guidelines that we typically talk about are pre-teaching, whole part whole, physical guidance, tactile modeling, task analysis, and then assessment. So I'm just going to go over those because these apply to all the activities that I'm going to talk about next. Okay, so pre-teaching is basically making sure the kids understand the whole activity before you do it. I'm going to use horseback riding as an example. Typically when we horseback ride, I don't know about where you go, but they have these stairs that go up, and you can literally just swing your leg over the horse and start riding. Well, the problem is our kids don't know what a horse looks like. And if a child has ever said, oh, I rode a horse before, then everybody thinks that they know what a horse looks like. You know what the saddle and the stirrups and the reins and the mane and the nose and the legs, they don't. Unless somebody intentionally taught them. That's pre-teaching. Fishing, same thing. There's so many components and parts of a fishing rod, the hook, the bait, and how does it all work? If you haven't seen that and experienced it and understand what it means when you're casting, when you're reeling it in, when you're putting the bait on the hook, that means nothing if you haven't experienced it first. Even if it's a camp for kids who are blind, we still do pre-teaching so they understand the whole concept. Because I'll tell you right now, if somebody says a word that they don't understand related to the experience that they're having, some kids might laugh at them or make fun of them because, how do you not know that? So we want them to understand the ins and outs of the entire activity. So that's pre-teaching. And then also when I do pre-teaching, I also talk about what are your goals? Do you think you want to just try it for distance or time? Those kind of things. Then what we do is we do whole part whole. So for example, for fishing, I would do the whole cast, reel it in, bait, cast, reel it in, take the fish off the hook. Teach the whole thing. What does it look like? Then you can break the skill down. So we do the entire thing, then we break it down, and then we do the entire thing again. Same thing we do for sports. We show the kids the entire game of basketball, break it down to dribbling, passing, shooting, defense, then we put it back together. Whole part whole. Because otherwise, if you just teach the parts, well, when I didn't know about whole part whole, I remember some of the kids were like, this is really dumb. Why are we doing this? Because we didn't tell them. They didn't know. And so then the other things that we teach them is how to physically instruct, tactile instruction. So the first one is physical guidance. So for example, right here, Megan's showing Abby how to do it. She's physically assisting her. This could also be considered coactive movement since they're doing the whole thing together. So it's when the coach or the instructor moves the child through the motion, whether completely or just like tapping the elbow, tapping the knee, that's called physical guidance. And it's really important that everybody's on the same page because we write that on the report of how we instructed and about the outcome for the child. We want to make sure everybody's on the same page with what type of tactile instruction they use so that nobody says that we were inappropriate. And then tactile modeling is when the child feels somebody else do the motion. And so if Abby were going to feel Megan casting or putting the bait on, physically feeling the instructor doing the motion, some people used to call this hand over hand or brailing. But in our field, it's not brailing or hand over hand because sometimes it's hands on your hip, sometimes it's hand on your knee. So tactile modeling is what we use when the child feels the instructor. And then also the task analysis is that part in the whole part whole where you break the skill down into smaller parts and you teach the small parts and then you put it all together. So for example, in tandem biking, we show the child the entire biking and how somebody rides the whole bike. Then we break it down to how do you put your foot on the pedal? How do you start? How do you pedal? How do we stop and then step off? That's a task analysis, breaking it down into smaller parts. And we have to make sure when we break it down into smaller parts, you have to make sure that you also use cues, consistent cues. And then the last part is assessment. Now, some kids want to just do outdoor adventure for fun. I know I go out for a kayak. Sometimes I just want to go out and have fun. But sometimes you want to make a goal, distance or time or speed, and that's perfectly fine. But we want kids to know how to set goals and how to assess their progress. You want to work up to being able to do a triathlon. You need to be able to ride your bike 112 miles. I mean, if you want to do an Ironman. And so, like, what are some of these goals and how do you measure those? Okay, so these are just some general guidelines. Let me see if anybody has any questions.
Haven't seen any yet, so that's why I haven't
Okay.
broken in. I didn't want to interrupt, but I haven't seen any yet.
All right. Welcome, Phyllis. I just saw your text. Okay. So then also, I just want to make sure that we're including our kids who are deafblind. We have a lot of kids like Cora who are deafblind that we work with. And so just some tips: allow the individual to explore the equipment and the environment to gain a better understanding of the activity. Like I said, pre-teaching. It's also important to listen to the expert. So if a child comes with a parent or an SSP or a paraeducator or an intervener, listen to them and listen to the child, because they're going to let you know what their background, their experience is, what they're afraid of, and what they are excited about. We have to make sure we give them time to tell us their experience and what they're looking forward to. And then make sure that if it's a continuous activity, like things like biking or kayaking or rock climbing, something that's continuous where you don't have interruptions, so the instructor can give feedback, make sure that you make discrete times that you can intervene and tell the child how they're doing and make sure they feel comfortable. Actually, the one main reason why people who are deafblind didn't participate in recreation, because they were worried about communication. Okay, and also make sure the participant has the opportunity to receive and express communication with others. So expressive and receptive communication. If it's tactile, if they use tactile communication, make sure that there's ways that they can tell the person in front of them riding the bike, I want to stop. Where are we going? Slow down. We have to make sure that they can have expressive communication, not just receptive communication. If they're rock climbing, what are they going to say when they're all done? What are they going to do? Tap the wall? Are they going to give you a sign? What's going to happen? So this is a way to set up the environment safely and comfortably for kids who are deafblind. Okay, so I just wanted to show everyone, we're really excited about this. We just finished 6 new videos about outdoor adventure and kids with visual impairment. So I'm going to show you the introductory one. So this is campabilities.org under instructional materials. If you just scroll down, oh wait, we got to go instructional materials. And then you scroll down, these are our dates for camp. And you'll see these are all sport videos of different sports that we made. How do you teach all these different things? Cross country, swimming, wrestling, basketball. These are our training videos, motor skills, expanded core curriculum video. This is a brand new video here about teaching children with visual impairment and additional disabilities. It's great, great video. But here's our outdoor adventure videos. And I'm just going to show you the introductory video, and then we'll get to see what are the other videos that you can choose from here. It says Campabilities Outdoor Adventure Inclusion Series.
Welcome to Campabilities. My name is Dr. Lauren Lieberman, and I'm a distinguished service professor at SUNY Brockport in Brockport, New York. In 1996, I started a sports camp for children with visual impairments and additional disabilities called Campabilities. Campabilities is an educational sports camp for children who are visually impaired, blind, or deafblind. This video series will teach parents, coaches, and teachers how to introduce outdoor adventure activities to children with visual impairments and additional disabilities. This is so important because so many times children with visual impairments are left out of outdoor adventure activities because they don't know how to modify them, their coaches don't know how to modify them, and the parents don't know how to modify them. We're so fortunate that you tuned in today with our partners with WXXI to be able to offer instructional videos for kayaking, stand-up paddleboard, fishing, rock climbing, biking, and hiking. These are activities that are going to help kids get out into the community and to show the community and the public what people with visual impairments can do. This instructional series will help empower the parents, the coaches, and the children so that they can be included in all outdoor adventure activities. And then the children will be able to advocate for themselves when they get out into the community and somebody might not know how to accommodate them. They'll know all the different modifications that they need. We had such a great time making these videos. We hope you have fun too in these outdoor adventure activities. For more information on these videos and others, please see our website at campabilities.org and the WXXI Move to Include website.
Hey, Lauren, it looks like someone is saying, Barbara is saying that it's not showing up on iPad, and I'm not sure what she's referring to. I don't know if
Did anybody else not get to see it?
I saw it, but I'm not sure if
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
Barb,
I'm not either. I don't know. I just thought maybe it was something I missed or that maybe you caught.
you can go right to the website though. And here's the other videos are here if you want the biking, rock climbing, kayaking, fishing, and paddleboarding are here. Oh, and hiking. So you can click on any one of these, and you can also share these links with any people from camps or programs that you want to that you want to promote for your kids that you're working with. And if it didn't show up on your device, then you could go right to the website. I'm sure it should work if you go right to the website.
And someone did mention that they ran across these yesterday and they look amazing.
Awesome. I think so. Now I have to just find what happened to my presentation.
It probably got minimized.
Okay.
Go down to the bottom. I see your PowerPoint icon down at the bottom.
Oh, yes, thank you. You know,
you
I don't
go.
know what to do without you, Olai.
There you go.
Okay, so that's those resources. Now what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to go through some outdoor adventure activities that we've done. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the way I've experienced modifications with the kids and the friends that I've worked with. But of course, I'm sure other people have things that you might be able to add. Now, this was cross-country skiing. And of course, if you do whole part whole, they'll feel the skis and the poles, feel the instructor or a peer cross-country skiing. So that's the whole. And break down the skill and allow the child to ski. And I think it helps if you start off on a groomed trail so that they're not trying to find their footing if you can. And then what we've done, I have a good friend who's totally blind that I cross-country ski with. I just tied a rope around my waist. She tied the rope around her waist and we just went off. And this is a group, so there's a group of us and I'm in the front and there's just, if you can see this little yellow rope tied around her waist. And it worked out great as long as the rope was taut. She could go anywhere. And if we were on a straightaway, I didn't even need anybody there to give any verbal assistance. If we were in a more hilly or a lot more turns, it did help to have somebody behind her and give her some verbal assistance. So that was a great modification. Again, can continually use verbal assistance if necessary, like if you're doing a lot of turns. But when we were going just like right on the Erie Canal, it's a straightaway. We could just chit chat all day and we didn't have to worry about verbal assistance. And then some kids like to ski on familiar trails so that they get used to the trails. Other kids like to explore and see different areas. So it kind of just depends on what their interest is. Okay, so then kayaking. Kayaking is awesome. And I also wouldn't recommend a 3-person kayak because the kids get to socialize, because when we were doing a 2-person kayak, we had the coach in the back and the child in the front, and they're always looking for their friends. But when we had the 3-person kayak, we can all go together and they can be with their friends. But again, feeling the whole kayak and the poles, we put tape on them so the kids know how to hold them. And then making sure they understand how to kayak, but we do it on land first. We practice paddling, we practice getting in and out of the kayak, we practice the cues. Again, we use the tactile markers on the paddle. Sometimes it's tape. Sometimes we take a little piece of rope and put it around the tape so that it's easier to feel the hand placement. And then also, what I noticed is when you're kayaking and you stop sometimes the kids will stop and then the water drips down and they get all wet. But if you have a good cadence, the water flies off the paddle and then you don't get wet. So we try to teach the kids right, left, right. Okay, let's keep going, right, left. And then just practice that. And I do want to say, like, there's a lot of these activities, biking, stand-up paddleboard, kayaking. Kids can do these independently, even if they're blind. What we did is we put 2 buoys about 50 yards apart. And we put a doorbell on each buoy. And the kids just stand up paddleboard or kayak towards the buoy, go around it because they could hear it, and then they just kept going independently. So we put that sound source right in the canal. Okay. And then we also do discuss what to do in case of an emergency, not an emergency, but a boat comes by. We say, everybody get to the left. And then everybody goes to their left and line up with the rocks and let the boat go by and then keep going. So, we practiced that before any boats came, which was a good thing. Kayaking. So we also try to give positive feedback during the movement because it is a little bit hard to give physical assistance, so you do have to give verbal cues. If a correction has to happen, try to do it verbally or give physical guidance or tactile modeling. But like I said, sometimes it's easier for somebody in another boat to come over and give them corrective feedback or go to the side, because if you're behind the person who's paddling, it's hard to give them physical assistance if you're behind them. And then again, verbally support them through each stroke if you need to until they get a comfortable pace. And then you want to as soon as you can, you want to fade the prompts so that then you can just be naturally kayaking and you don't have to give any prompts during the activity. Okay. And by the way, this picture here is also a 3-person kayak with the coach in the back and the 2 athletes in the front. And this is stand-up paddleboard. We call it SUP. And it's the same kind of process where we teach it on land. So here's a picture of kids practicing kneeling on land while they're paddling, standing on land, practicing their paddling, and then standing in the water, practicing paddling, and then kneeling in the water. And I told the kids, you don't even have to kneel. You can sit on the paddleboard and paddle. Stand up when you're comfortable, if you're comfortable. You don't ever have to stand up. It's just really fun to go on the board. Now, on the flip side, literally the flip side, some of our kids want to try a 360, so they stand on the end of the stand-up paddleboard and try to make it go in a circle one time, and a lot of times they fall off. They love it. Stand-up paddleboarding. We just got 5 new stand-up paddleboards for this summer, so we've got a big fleet. It's exciting. And so then canoeing, again, canoeing's the same process, but I do want to say it is really important to put the tape on the paddle. You'll see the one on the left, there is a piece of tape on the paddle, because I want the kids to understand where the blade is so that it goes in the water properly and they can really propel themselves and move forward. Because if you don't have a tape on the paddle, it actually is dangerous, because if they put their paddle in the wrong way and then try to lift it up, they could flip the boat over if it went deep enough. So I make sure that they understand you are touching the tape here, that blade is going perpendicular, and that's how you want the blade to go in the water. Takes a little bit of practice, but again, doing it on land first really helps. Okay, and so this is rock climbing. Again, we typically use these rock walls, or we use a wall like a rock gym, and these are belayed, like we have people that are belaying the kids, but we start off pre-teaching, whole part whole. They feel the harness, somebody climbs up and they explain what they're doing so that they can understand and engage in that activity. And then what we do after the child climbs up and the child hears the other child climb up, then we break it down and show them how to find each piece of rock. And it's not easy. Now, one of the best ways we found is, this is called the clock system. So you could use the clock system with each hand, where you could do 12 all the way, to 6 o'clock back to 12 o'clock with one hand, or you could do the clock system. This is a picture of a man, and he's climbing at 12 o'clock is above his head, then 1 o'clock is at the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So you could give them the signals for their hands and feet where to find the next rock. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. Oh, sorry. So rock climbing, would I start off again, feeling the wall, using the auditory system, and when somebody else climbs up the wall, they can also show them how high the top is. Again, feeling the harness, discuss the clock system. Now, one of the big things I learned the hard way is, because everybody thinks they're being helpful, everybody around is cheering for that child and telling them what to do. And sometimes they're conflicting. One person gives feedback to the child. One person. And oftentimes we will use their cane when they're lower on the wall, we'll use their cane to tap the rock to tell them where to reach to. And then the other thing, I've made this mistake before, when you get to the top of the rock wall, typically you sit down and you walk your feet down the wall. That's how most people get down from the rock wall. Or you can rappel down, just jumping down the wall. You have to teach them that before they get to the top of the rock wall, because it's hard to teach them how to walk down or propel down if you haven't told them beforehand. And so make sure you discuss and practice walking down the wall. How are you going to get down before you go up? Okay, just a good idea.
There is a question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Elia.
There are a couple of questions about let's see, about getting the presentation, which yes, you'll get that. Is there anything like this for adults? Christina is asking.
Well, I do know I worked with Helen Keller National Center. They had a grant. They have some canoes. They have some bikes. Adults. I know NFB has conferences. I'm not quite sure. Does anybody else know if there's any outdoor adventure programs for adults?
And while we're waiting to get input from other people, just in case they have any ideas of adult outdoor adventure programs, there's another question about how do I get information with places that specialize with deafblind children? They are in North Carolina.
So North Carolina has 2 Campabilities water sports camps, and that's on our Campabilities website. There are outdoor adventure camps in North Carolina for kids with visual impairments and kids who are deafblind. One's called H2O, but it's on our Campabilities website, so you can look for those. But I just want to tell everyone we need more programs. And also on our website, we have a link to a Campabilities manual. How do you start a Campabilities? I would love to help people start programs, sports and recreation programs like this, because this is what's going to make a difference in a child's life. And this is what can help give them the confidence and the skills to generalize to other things like self-advocacy. And so I can put my email in the chat and then people can email me, but I'd be happy to help anybody who wants to start a program, because I literally have kids from other states coming to my camp, and I want them to be able to go to camps in their own states and meet friends near them.
It looks like Amanda has a recommendation in Oregon. They have a Northwest Association for Blind Athletes.
Yeah, NWABA is great. It's in Oregon, Washington, Montana, and Idaho, and they have programming. It is for all kids and adults. Yes, NWABA is a great organization. Thanks for reminding me that, because that's not just for kids. That's also for adults. If you don't live in those 4 states, you might be able to go and join some of their programs. That's awesome. I have 3 of my students that got jobs there. Good stuff.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. Okay, so now archery. Archery is an awesome activity. The kids love archery. But what they have to remember is that you have to know the entire target. Yellow is in the middle. What does black mean? Red, blue. There's different point system for it. Learn the point system for the colors so that when somebody's jumping up and down, they understand why. Understand the bow and the arrow, each component, what it's called. How does it work? How far is the target? And also, I have the kids take the arrow and hit the target so they understand how much force needs to go into it to go into the target, because I had kids that do it really soft and then it doesn't go in the target, it doesn't stick. And so this picture is a coach teaching the child how far back she has to pull the bow. And so show the participant how far back they need to pull in order for the arrow to stick. And then share various ways, practice different ways to aim. Auditory cues, we typically put beepers behind the target, but we also put balloons on the target, so when they hit it, oftentimes the balloon pops. And then we also encourage the kids, if you're blind and you want somebody else to sight for you, then that's okay, because most people who are blind, somebody else helps them use their sight. And then there's other different ways that people can enjoy archery, and sometimes it's just verbal assistance, but I always do let them go and collect their own arrows so they know where their arrows went. I think that's important. That same thing for anything, whether it's cornhole, whether it's bocce, they should go and collect their own ball so that they know where it went. Okay, so here's a picture of our target with the balloons on it. So we have an auditory signal behind there, and then there's balloons on the target. So this is pretty cool. And then rollerblading. The kids, just like Cora and her ice skating, the kids love the rollerblading. They love the feeling of rollerblading. And so this is just some kids rollerblading with a coach standing next to them. They might start out just going along a railing, then letting go intermittently, or going along a wall, letting go intermittently. But I always make sure they have their helmet, they have their wrist guards, they have knee pads. Well, these don't, but then the rollerblades. But really fun sport for everybody. And then this bike is called a kick bike, and it's literally it's like a scooter, but it's a bike. And I found that our kids love this kick bike if they're nervous to ride a bike, because this is bicycle brakes, and you're low to the ground. So you can actually get the feeling of balancing, but you can stop on a dime and just put your foot down, and you're not going as fast as a bike. So it's called a kick bike. It's from Finland. They're awesome. If anybody's interested in these. And actually, when I was in Finland, I saw people riding these, and I bought one because I thought it was so cool. And I was thinking about buying them for camp, but I wasn't quite sure I should buy them for camp. Then I went to the School for the Blind in Finland, in Helsinki, and they had 10 of them. So I think if the School for the Blind has them, we should definitely have them at camp. Kids love them. This little boy is blind too. And then we have what's called a conference bike. It's a 7-person bike. It is awesome. And it's expensive, but it's great for kids with visual impairment, kids who are deafblind, have additional disabilities. Everybody can pedal, or just a few people can pedal. It's very social because there's 7 people on it. And as you can see, some of these people are even holding kids on their lap. And it's a really fun experience. And this is another picture of the 7-person bike, some kids who are deafblind on this bike. And so you can rent these if you don't want to buy one. I just bought it because I didn't want to have to worry about renting it. And then here's horseback riding. Like I said, I described earlier, making sure the child feels the whole horse. You describe the saddle. You describe the terms that you use for riding the horse, and making sure they have some goals and what to do if they get scared, because that can happen too. And so horseback riding is a great, great outdoor adventure activity for kids.
There is a question, Lauren, from Rhonda. Do families pay for camp? How is the cost covered?
Good question. My camp, the kids from New York are covered by the Commission for the Blind. The Office for Children and Family Services is the Commission for the Blind. Some camp abilities, the families do have to pay some. If they can't afford it, some camps get camperships. Lions clubs help tremendously. They love giving camperships. So if a family knows ahead of time, well, it's $1,200, but I could probably get $600. I need $600. Then typically the camp director will point you to people that can help fundraise the rest if you need it. And then sometimes transportation's a problem, and we always figure that out. I just look at similar zip codes and think, they're coming from 315 and they're coming from 315. Let's see if that parent will drive them, and it typically works out.
And then there's a couple other comments for students with hearing loss. The state is divided into Eastern and Western regions. So Eastern North Carolina School for the Deaf in Wilson, North Carolina School for the Deaf in Morganton, Western, the Governor Moorhead School for the Blind. I guess must be referring to the camps, the other camps or adult camps. And then Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, Metro, Washington Association of Blind Athletes. So that one's gonna be on the other side of the country. And then a comment looks like from Stephanie. I love more of this in Canada. She has vision loss and loves backpacking and want to do a trip solo. Do you do overnight hikes?
I do. I would go. But actually in Canada, so there's actually the CNIB Lake Joe. And if you are interested in, I know Lake Joe has all summer programming. I don't know if it's adult programming. I think it does. But the CNIB has that near Toronto. So you can maybe check into that. I don't know where you live in Canada, but that would be good. Good questions. Really good. And thank you everybody for giving program ideas. So this next one is fishing. And as you can see, this is the Erie Canal. We love it. And again, like I use this example with whole part whole, I always make sure the kids know how, you don't have to do it, but you need to know how to put the worm on, and you need to know how to take a fish off. And I didn't want to sacrifice more fish, so I looked online, and you can buy these like rubber fish that you can practice taking it on and off the line. So when you do catch a real fish, you don't really have to sacrifice too many. So I think it's really good for the kids to be empowered to be able to do all of that themselves. And I have kids that have mastered the cast and reeling the rod in, and it's so exciting when they catch a fish. It's just, every day we do a fish count. And on our newsletter, you'll see if you look up our newsletters, it says how many fish the kids caught each day of camp. So that's fishing. And again, fishing you can do anywhere. You can do it with relatives, old and young. It's so fun. And then just some other tips for fishing. Again, feeling the environment and the rod. And also the kids need to know if there's anything around them. Again, teach them how to do it independently. I discussed the importance of a good cast because you don't want your hook to be too close to the shallow, because you're not going to catch as big fish. If you want to catch the bigger fish, you got to get it a little further out. And again, showing them the biomechanics of a good cast. And I always say, if you do the release when the rod gets perpendicular to your body, then if you release it too early, it goes behind you. If it releases too late, it goes around you. So you have to release it at the right time. Help them know when they have a bite. Now there are these lures that light up. And there are some lures that make sound. So I'm not lures, bobbers, the bobbers. And so some of our kids can see the lit up bobbers and then hear the bobbers. And if they're going up and down, you know that you're getting some nibbles. Actually, one of the other things I learned is when you have your hook in the water, when you cast it out, if you just take your hand and put it around where the fishing line goes, you can actually feel when you're getting a tug, because you're feeling the line in your hand and your fingertips, and you can feel when you're getting a tug if you put your hand around it. And then again, show them how to take off the fish off the hook safely as much as possible. The rubber fish, I'm telling you, that was a game changer. Okay, so how do we promote the potential of every child? Here's two kids riding a tandem bike. There's so many wonderful outdoor adventure activities that people can do. How do we make that available and help train people how to teach our kids how to be engaged in outdoor adventure activities? So just want to open it up for any questions now, if anybody wants to share anything. Stride Adaptive Sports in West Sand Lake, New York, a youth program. That's good. Thanks, Marianne. Any other questions or any other information here? I'm going to put my email in here. That's my email.
looking to see if I missed any comments or questions. See that there's another comment about adults, ski program for adults. Oh, that one's for Marianne. Okay, you got that.
Oh, you know what else? If anybody's heard of Ski for Light, Ski for Light is cross-country skiing and physical activity programs for adults with visual impairments that started in Norway. That's how I actually got into the field. So if you, I'm going to put it in here, Ski for Light, you can look up the Ski for Light program nearest you, and that would really help with getting to do outdoor adventure activities and then meeting more people that like to do those kind of things as well.
Okay.
Anybody else?
There's a couple.
Oh yeah, Phyllis says extra time, allowing extra time. I climbed Pinnacle Mountain with a group of students and we ended up being late getting back to school. Late because once you're up on the mountain, you still got to come down. I totally agree with that. Yeah. Thanks, Tiffany. Thanks for coming. Yeah, and actually, Elia, I updated this presentation. I'll send this one to you on week.
Okay, then we'll get it uploaded.
Okay.
Yeah, it needs to be. There's a few things that need to be uploaded. I'm looking at the link right now. So when you send that, then that'll go up in there too.
Erin, we can definitely get you a copy of the presentation.
Yep.
And I also am going to send Elia. I just wrote an article about kids who are visually impaired and their experience with outdoor adventure. It was during COVID, so it wasn't a description of a program. It was just their experiences. It was really cool.
Oh, that's going to be a really, really good article to put up there for people to read. Definitely.
Diane, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Oh, I put my email. I'll put my email in here again.
Okay.
And again, camp abilities, it's so rewarding. If you want to run a camp, it doesn't have to be huge. It can just be 10 kids on a weekend. We do a one-day outdoor adventure camp. We're doing it September 10th. It's all-day camp. We do it on the water. And then we have tandem biking, hiking, stand-up paddleboard, kayaking, fishing, all in one day. The kids do it. It's so fun. September 10th if you're interested, in Brockport, New York. Yeah, we have more webinars coming up. We have one on the expanded core curriculum, one on motor skills, I think, and then we have another one on that's a panel of kids. Make sure it is set to everyone when sending a chat, otherwise the panelists and hosts will see the message. Oh, okay, right. Right. Thank you, Namisha. Thank you for coming. Diana, how do you get on my list? You mean the list for camp? Thank you, Misty. Thanks for coming. Diana, I'm not sure what list you're talking about. The camps are for anybody. I mean, most camps will take anybody, but they prefer people in their state usually. Oh, for the webinars. So Diane, I don't know how you found out about this one, but you can ask Olaya to put you on the list for all the webinars.
Yes, you will get once you've signed in or signed up for the webinar, you're on our list now. So you'll start getting emails about the webinars and newsletters. And
well, Diane, glad you heard about it. So our next one is, I want to say June 22nd. That's a motor skill one. And then in July, we have one with a panel of kids who are talking about self-advocacy. It's the kids are going to talk. And then I'm doing one on the expanded core curriculum. I cannot remember. I think mine's in August sometime on the ECC. Okay, thank you, Erin. And what's the closing code, Olaya?
I'm here. I was talking and I'm going to pause the recording for just a second and start the record. Okay. All right. Let me see if there's any other questions that we missed or didn't. Oh, here we go. A couple more things. Oh, Yes, thanks for keeping the motivation.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Carlo, thank you. Thanks so much for coming.
Yes.
Thanks, Haley.
Yes, and
Looking
thank
forward to
you.
seeing everybody in the next one.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Lieberman, for doing this. And we're looking forward to our next one in the series. Let's see, today was the outdoor adventure programming, and our gross motor development instructional strategies is on June 22nd from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. So we will see everyone then.
Thanks, Juan. Good to hear from you. Thank you, Jennifer. All right.
Yeah, thank you so much.